So welcome to today's Academy lesson. We're going to talk a little bit about a particular set of moves that really allow for a whole broad spectrum of different tricks to be used with them, and they are known as reversals. So a reversal is any sort of move that reverses a card or a set of cards in a deck. It could be from one card all the way up to 51 cards. Although there are probably hundreds of reversals in the Magic lore, I'm going to show you guys 4 easy ones that should get you started with the concept of reverses. Now, the reason I like reverses too is because a lot of times tricks require a deck to be set up in a particular way, and usually it might require some cards being face up, some cards being face down. And what a reverse allows you to do is to sometimes set that up in real time, depending on the actual trick. You're able to set the trick up right in front of their noses under the guise of either cutting a deck or shuffling. So the first reverse that I'm going to show you guys is known as the overhand shuffle reverse, which you're going to see exactly why it's called that in a little bit. Now, this reverse, it does work with the spectator looking at your hands. However, it is best done on an offbeat. So it's best done when you're asking a spectator a question or when the spectator's attention is elsewhere apart from the deck. And again, that's very easily done by asking a spectator if they've seen a trick or by just using a question to distract their attention. So the shuffle itself just looks like you're mixing the deck up in overhand shuffle style. However, in that action, you've reversed either one or a number of cards in the bottom of the deck. So there are a couple of different ways to actually perform this sleight. However, my preferred way is with a pinky break. So this is just a pinky break on the bottom of the deck. That's all that's happening. You have a pinky break above the bottom card of the deck. Now, that's one way of doing it. Another way that I've seen it done is with pushing the card towards the right. So you're going to see that the action is you lifting up everything above the break, apart from that card, turning the deck face up and shuffling above that card. That's going to be the action that you're going to approximate here and the action that you're going to accomplish. However, what that's going to do is that's going to leave that card reversed. And if done in a smooth action, it should just look like you're shuffling the deck. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a technique you can use to keep that card on the bottom of the deck. So as far as the actual mechanics of this are concerned, the first one is you are getting a break. So I showed you guys how to do that in a previous lesson. You're getting a pinky break right there. Now you're going to lift up everything above the break and turn it to the right. So you're going to do this in one action. It's not going to be a couple actions. You're not going to break it down into steps. It's going to be one action of turning it over and shuffling. Now you see, that's the reason why this particular move should be done on the offbeat, because there's going to be a chance that you're going to flash that little action there. Now in this one that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit, it's a little bit harder to do, but there is less of a chance of flashing the card there. So one more time, you have a break. You're lifting up everything above the break. Now, a hot tip here is to lift up to eye level. So pretty much what that means is that you're going to have a break there. You're going to lift the cards up to the specter's eye level so that when you reverse the cards, they don't necessarily see that card reversed on the bottom of the deck. So the action is covered because they should only be seeing the front edge of the cards. So one more time, you got a break. Lifting everything above the break, turning it towards the right, using your thumb to strip off packets, and shuffling that card. So one more time, that accomplishes you turning this card over. Now, this does work for multiple cards. So for example, you need 4 cards reversed. All you got to do is just get a break right there and do the same exact action. You're just reversing, shuffling, and that reverses the cards in the bottom of the deck, ready for whatever trick you need. So in action, a move should just look like you're shuffling the deck haphazardly. However, you are secretly reversing this card. Now, the other method of this is what I told you guys initially, that you're going to push the card off. So as the cards are being placed in the hand, you're going to push with your fingertips this card towards the right. So what this allows you to do is to turn everything apart from that card face up in preparation for an overhand shuffle apart from that initial card that's making contact with the deck. So you see this card is just going to smoothly glide over as you overhand shuffle the cards. So again, this is a move that is best used under a distraction or during an offbeat, because the spectators aren't going to be necessarily paying attention to your hand as much as they would if you're doing another move that could take scrutiny. But this is a move that is definitely something that should be done on the offbeat or during a distracting moment, something where the spectator's attention isn't 100% on the deck, but you see that reverses the card effectively. So this method is good because you just get in and out in less than a fraction of a second. So this is one of the ways that I would prefer to do it if I just want to get in there quick. However, I do like the buckle method because once you aim the deck at the spectator's eye line, so once you aim this edge, there's very little for them to see. So that is the overhand shuffle reverse. The next reversal is known as the Brouwer reversal. This is done pretty much under the context of giving the deck a little bit of a series of cuts. And what that does is that reverses either one or a number of cards in the deck just under the pretext of giving it a cut. Now this, I first saw in Expert Card Technique. However, it's one of my favorite techniques because it just looks like you're cutting the deck. Now keep in mind, much like the first one, this is an overt move, meaning that you are doing something to the deck that the spectators see. So for example, in the first one, it's an overhand shuffle. In here, you're giving the deck a series of cuts. So just keep that in mind when coming up with tricks or when thinking of what tricks this best works in, because you are doing something to the deck. So for this, very simple technique, and it's from one of the authors of Expert Card Technique, which is even better. So you get a pinky break below the top card in whatever way you want. So you get a pinky break there. And what's going to happen is that you're going to transfer that to the thumb break as you lift down on approximately half the deck. So it's going to happen, one more time here, you're going to transfer that to your thumb as you lift down on approximately half the deck. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to turn these cards over face up on top of the deck. So you're going to turn half the cards face up and put it on top of this pack. But you see what that does? Once you square everything up, it lines up perfectly with the card that you have previously had a break on. So now that card is actually here. It's in the bottom-most part of the top pile. So that's just done automatically. So one more time, you have a break underneath the Queen of Spades, just like that. You're going to pull down on approximately half the cards, turn them face up, and put them on top of the deck. So now that card is the bottommost card of that, and it's already reversed. So all you need to do now is take all these cards, and you have a couple options here as to what you could do. You could either turn these face up and drop this half on top, just like this, and you're done with the move. All you've done is reverse that one card. Or if you want, you could reverse these cards and put it on top to simulate the actions of a cut. So the way that would look in action is that you're just turning the deck face up and giving it a series of cuts while you're turning the deck face up. That's all it would look like. The first one, what it would look like, remember Queen of Spades on top, what that would look like is just like you're turning over the deck face up in different parts. Now I do prefer the second one because the first one doesn't really have a necessity for it. You're just turning the deck up. You could just, if you were going to turn the deck face up, you could just do this. There's no reason to do it. However, the other one, it is better covered because you are doing a move under a series of cuts. So you are just apparently cutting the deck face up, and you could show the deck at this point not to have anything special or not to have anything unique, but really their card is already reversed in the back. So keep that in mind. The first one that I showed reverses the card in the middle of the deck. So that card is now reversed in the middle of the deck, right? You see it there. The second one, my preferred way, that reverses the card at the face. So you notice that card is at the face of the deck. So you could turn the deck over, you could show it, and the deck looks perfect. There's nothing wrong with it until you cut the deck, and that card is now buried in the middle. So what I like this for is, I like this for a couple of reasons. I like this because you could do it with a bunch of cards and the move doesn't change. All you need to do is just have a pinky break under that amount of cards. So there's a technique from a trick called Cellmates, which I particularly enjoy. You guys are going to get a little bit of a bonus here. This is a way of having the spectator shuffle the cards and still you maintain the order of just a group of cards. So for example, let's say you have just a group of cards on the top of the deck. This doesn't matter, but let's say these were the aces. You do the Brouwer reversal technique, right? Cutting the cards supposedly. And those cards are now reversed in the back. You could do it with multiple packets, by the way. That's just a simple thing. So the way you do that is that you do the same action, pinky break, get one packet, turn it face up, get another packet, but this time it's not the entire thing. You just get another chunk of cards, turn that face up, and finally get the last packet and turn that face up. So it just looks like maybe a triple cut there. But now you have these 4 cards reversed in the back of the deck. The wonderful thing that you could do at this point is that you could hand chunks of the card to the spectator and have them shuffle it face down. So imagine a spectator is shuffling these cards face down. They're really mixing the deck. And once you take this part back from the spectator, all you got to do is put it on the bottom of this half as you give them another little chunk. And guess what? There's a cycle going on here. So they're going to shuffle these cards. They're going to mix it. You take it back. You put it face down. You can hand them another chunk. I would do this maybe 2 more times. So they're thoroughly shuffling, or what they think is every card in the deck. You put that face down once you take it back. And finally, once you spread the last pile, notice what's happened. You've gone completely one time around the deck. So once they shuffle this last pile, because of those first 4 face down cards, they're going to remain on top. So let me just illustrate that with the aces. It's a wonderful principle. And what that allows you to do is shuffle the deck, or have the spectator seemingly shuffle the deck while you maintain the order of these cards. So you have the aces on top. You execute the Brouwer reversal, apparently cutting the deck. And you're going to hand chunks to the spectator for them to shuffle. So they shuffle this. Notice the aces are face down in the back of the half that you're holding. So they shuffle this. You take it back. You put it on the bottom of the deck. You hand them another half. They shuffle that. Put it on the bottom of the deck. Finally, once you spread to the first face down card and they shuffle the remaining cards, once you put that on the bottom, those 4 aces have stayed on top the entire time because of the way you were retrieving the cards. Beautiful, beautiful technique, and a nice little bonus you guys get for this particular technique. But this is my favorite use of it because you start from an ordinary face down deck. You have a group of cards set up on top, and you're able to execute the Brouwer reversal and use it as a way of the spectators shuffling the cards while you are maintaining a little group of cards on the top of the deck. So it's a wonderful technique, and my favorite use of the Brouwer reversal. The next technique is known as the double lift reverse. This is a great one to do because what it allows you to do is show the card that the spectator picked not to be on top of the deck or on the bottom of the deck. And in that action, you reversed a card second from the face of the deck, which happens to be the spectator's card. So let's assume there picks a card. In this case, is going to be the 8 of diamonds. This card gets control to the top in whatever way you want. My favorite is the Mahatma control I've taught in a previous lesson. So now you could show apparently the top card and the bottom card to the spectator not being the card by just simply doing a double lift. So you show the top card, you do whatever double lift you want. You show the top card not to be the spectator's card. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to risk kill here. So you're going to bring these cards up towards yourself. You're going to use your thumb to push off the top card and show it not to be their card. So at this point, you actually have 2 things in one. So not only are you able to reverse this card and show it not to be the card that the spectator picked, but you also have a nice little opportunity to peek at the spectator's card while showing that the top card isn't their card, nor is the bottom card. So one more time in action, you're doing a double lift. You're saying, so the top card isn't your card, and nor is the bottom card. So your card is somewhere lost in a deck, sir. I want you to keep thinking of that card, keep thinking of it. And that action, not only have you reversed that card, but you've also peeked at it. One more time, you do a double lift, risk kill. So that just means you're turning the deck towards yourself, thumbing off the card as you turn it over, drawing attention to it. At this point, you're more than welcome to peek at the card. Just don't stare at it. You replace this back on top as you show the bottom card not to be their card either. And now what that's done is that you reverse the card second from the face of the deck. That is known as the double lift reverse. So the next technique is known as the half pass. And if you guys are familiar with a pass, this is pretty much half of that. So instead of controlling a card to a particular position in the deck or reversing the cut, what this does is that this just allows you to reverse a small group of cards in the deck as you are apparently just either squaring it up or turning the deck end for end. So I already did the move, and that's what it pretty much looks like. Now you see this is a more hidden move, which is why it has a lot of merits. It's not an overt move. You're not apparently doing anything on the deck. All you're doing is squaring it up, and in the context of just squaring the deck up further, you've done the move itself. So you reversed either a number of cards, or you could do it with one card. It doesn't matter. However, the mechanics of the move and covering it are the most challenging parts. So let's go over that now. First thing you're going to do is get a pinky break underneath however many cards you turn over. Let's just assume we're going to do one card for now. So you're going to get a pinky break right there above that card in the deck. So this is going to be the exposed angle. Let me just show you guys what's going to happen here. That's all that's happening. You're essentially just reversing that card in the deck. Now, if you just did that straight up, it would just look pretty fishy. So you're going to have to cover that. And my favorite cover is doing that little turnover. But let's just break down the mechanics of the move. So what's happening is that you're going to hold the deck. You're going to get a pinky break here. Notice your forefinger is curled and behind this card over here, because that's going to facilitate the turning action of that card. So what's happening is that you're pulling with your pinky, you're pulling with your fingertips, and you're using your forefinger to turn that card over. Now, the interesting part here, and the tip that I wish I first learned when doing this move, is that your pinky of the right hand is acting as a stopper. So when you're reversing the card, your pinky is acting as a stopper to make sure that card doesn't go any further into the hand. So in action, that's all that's happening right now. Now this works with one card, this works with a number of cards. So let's say we have a break underneath a certain packet of cards. You're just reversing those cards underneath the deck and using your pinky as a stopper to make sure that they're square up with the rest of the deck. So from above, your hands over here cover that action of it. Now again, when you're doing the half pass, keep in mind that your fingers here are moving. So your fingers of the left hand are moving, which is why the best cover is to turn the deck end for end. So notice I'm turning the deck end for end, just like this. And that provides all the cover necessary for the actual move. But your right hand, notice the position, notice where it's covering, notice the fingertips are obscuring any sort of action from underneath. And you got to make sure that your hands are low enough so that they actually cover the action of you reversing the cards. So all in all, when you do the actual move itself, which is just simply reversing the cards, you're going to turn the deck end for end and square up the deck that way. So at speed, it should just look like you're turning over the deck end for end. However, in that action, you reversed a small group of cards on the bottom or on the top. So let's say you could do the same thing. You have a pinky break right there above a certain amount of cards. You could show the deck, and in the action of putting the hand and turning it over in the hand, you have reversed a group of cards on the bottom. So it's a very useful technique, and it's a very powerful technique because the spectator shouldn't suspect anything is happening with the cards. So this is a move that technically could be burned. This is a move that the spectator should be able to watch your hands, and you should be able to execute it without them being aware of anything that you are doing. So one last time, you're using your fingers to turn over that half. At the same time, reversing the cards, turning them end for end like this. So that move is just like this. All that's happening is that I'm holding the deck in middle grip. I'm rotating my hand clockwise so that my hand is being rotated clockwise. My finger and my thumb grasp the deck slightly above center and finishes that rotation. So when you do that with the half pass, it should just look like you're reversing it in that way. However, it covers the half pass beautifully. So that is the half pass technique. So a very easy trick you could do with reverse technique is something that I kind of already alluded to, which is that peak double lifting. So imagine you have a card picked. That card is on top of the deck. In this case, it's the 7 of clubs. You control this card to the top of the deck in whatever way you want. My preferred way is doing the Mahatma control, right? And of course, I leave the card on top of the deck by doing the squeeze shuffle there. So I'm doing the milk shuffle to keep that card on top as I continue and shuffle the deck. So because of the staggered nature of the deck, it's very easy for me to square up the cards and obtain a pinky break below the second card from the top of the deck in preparation for a double lift, which is exactly what I do as I show the spectator that their card is not on top of the deck. Now here, what's going to happen is that I'm going to reiterate their card. So in one action, it should just look like this. So your card is not on top of the deck. You didn't pick the joker. In that action, I'm doing the exact mechanics that I showed you guys earlier, and I'm also peeking at the spectator's card. So in this case, I'm taking that opportunity to peek at the spectator's card. So all in all, spectators pick a card, King of Hearts. That card is controlled to the top of the deck. You're more than welcome to keep that card on top of the deck if you want. As I'm showing the deck and squaring it up, I'm getting a break underneath the second card from the top of the deck. So I just want to make sure your card is not on top, nor is it on the bottom. And in that action, not only have I reversed their card, but I've also peeked at it. So at this point, I could very carefully spread the deck by doing what's known as a block push-off. So what that does is that I'm just using my thumb to push off more than a couple of cards into my right hand so I could spread the deck and show that there isn't anything out of the ordinary. Again, I'm not drawing attention and saying, look, there aren't any face-up cards here, right? I'm not saying that. All I'm doing is I'm just spreading the cards and showing the deck to be normal to the spectator. So one more time, I'm just pushing off a small block of cards, making sure that I don't flash that card, and I just spread the deck. Now, when I cut the deck, I could give it to the spectator, have them hold it in their hands, not only reveal the card that they picked because I peeked at it, which in this case is the King of Hearts, but when they spread through the cards, they notice that there's only one reversed card there in their hand, and their memory of it is that they thought of a card and that card was reversed in their hand. That's going to be what the spectators typically remember. And all you're doing here is just a simple double lift, peeking at the card over here, and then cutting the cards, and you're good to go. So that's a little bit of a routine and a trick you could do to practice a reverse. There's a lot of applications for it, but I hope you guys got something useful from this lesson. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.